Samuel Bernauer is a veteran, father, and aspiring writer and actor. Sam has taken advantage of offerings in the college's communication and theater programs. Sam, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today.
Thank you for having me here.
So let's chat for a bit. Sam, what branch of the armed forces did you serve in?
Actually, two. I did 3 years in the Navy, had a break in service, and then I did 4 years in the Army.
And what was your experience like?
Mixed. A lot of it was very common for a lot of people joining the military. The culture shock of going in, being exposed to new areas and different cultures. But also my personal experience towards when I was in the Army was a little bit different, because around when I turned 25, that's when I came down with a condition called bipolar disorder, which at the time they didn't realize what it was. They kind of chalked it up to depression. And subsequently, I ended up having a suicide attempt. And instead of treating me at a military facility, I was actually treated at a civilian facility. And afterwards, it was just for stabilization for a few weeks, where I was later returned and never really got any follow-up care or treatment. So, basically, when you have a suicide attempt in the military and not die, you actually survive twice. Once the actual ordeal, and then what comes afterwards, how the treatment you receive at the command.
And how long did the treatment go on after that?
Until I got out, about 1.5 years.
I understand that you're passionate, and perhaps not coincidentally, because of your own struggles, you're passionate about mental health and how it relates to soldiers and veterans. Talk a little bit about that and how you were able to parlay your own struggles into helping other veterans and other soldiers.
Essentially, the military is not designed to deal with mental health. It was not created for that purpose. So, but it is something that it does have to deal with whether people going into combat and dealing with the issues, of that kind of conflicts, or just something that comes down that's hereditary, that comes up naturally when someone reaches a certain age. It happens. And the culture itself is just not geared towards helping people who are suffering from mental health crisis or issues. And while it has been 20 years since I've gotten out, I would be very surprised if the military became more progressive towards those kind of issues.
Why do you suppose that is?
It's part of the culture.
Sure.
I mean, something like that, changing course, it's like an aircraft carrier towing an iceberg. It's not in trying to change course. It's not going to happen right away.
It's not in their makeup.
No.
What advice, then, would you give to veterans and soldiers who are in distress?
Seek help. The first sign that you have an issue, that you think there's a problem, the first sign of a problem is if you think there's a problem. Just like if you're thinking you might be an alcoholic, that's probably a sign that you might be one. So there is some resources out there. The VA does have that, though sometimes they can be a little overwhelmed and underfunded, much like any other area. I mean, even in civilian life, I worked at a major hospital, and when I had going through issues again, I couldn't even find a psychiatric doctor, and that's having added insurance at a major hospital. Even then, I couldn't even find help. So it's not just the military; it's our society at large, and a lot of things that we see played out in the media, about news stories being shown, is a direct result of this. And it happens at an early age, all throughout the system, and most people usually either end up homeless, institutionalized, or in prison, or dead. And unfortunately, being in the military only makes it even worse.
Sure. So you're happy, you're in a good place, and you feel as though your experience here at the community colleges has perhaps contributed to your well-being as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have a great outlet. I have a great family.
Of course.
I'm coming up on 10 years sobriety from alcohol.
Congrats.
My son, he's going to be 13 in April, and he's great. I have a loving and caring wife who's very supportive. And the program here, I'm working on and doing the acting and doing the writing for that really helps out. Not just as therapeutic, but also a way as kind of relating my story. One of the plays I'm working on is my experience working in a hospital when the pandemic hit. And it's from the point of view as people like ER techs, medical assistants,
Sure.
and basically everybody except for doctors and nurses. So it's a little bit of like class, but also politics is involved too. So, and another one I'm working on too is actually about my experience having gone through a suicide attempt and being in the military and what happened afterwards as well, while working in an emergency room.
Wow. Wonderful, wonderful. Can you talk about what led you to CT State-Norwalk? Obviously, one of the hard-earned benefits of being in the service is the military benefits that allow service members and their families to pursue educational opportunities. How'd you land here? What made you choose this school?
Well, I just have to say location is nearby where I live. I used to work at Stanford Hospital, and I still live in Stanford right now. And plus the fact that they do tuition waiver for veterans is a huge benefit. I can't express just how helpful that is for veterans. Even in my own state of California, they don't even do that. I literally had to travel 2,000 miles away to find a place that actually would help me out as much as help me out the same way I've gotten here.
Is there a bit of culture shock coming from the West Coast over to the
Oh no, not at all.
Not at
It's all the same. Yeah. No, of course. Yeah, aside from the weather, there were some things to get used to.
Sure.
But you know, you get used to. I'm not a stranger to change.
Of course.
From the time I was in kindergarten to the time I graduated high school, I think I've been to about 24, 25 schools. Wow. So for myself, the hardest part was staying in one place. So change is easy when you grow up with it, because whatever you grow up with, you assume that's to be the norm. That's the norm, and it's not that hard. But when you go against what you're accustomed to, as far as staying in one place and not moving, that's a tricky part, and that's why I really want to. That's why I'm staying right here, because my son, he's been in the same school since pre-K, and I don't want him to have the same kind of experiences I did.
Of course. Well, this is a good place to stay, I think.
It is. It's great.
If you could deal with the snowy winters on occasion.
Yeah, it's okay.
Otherwise, it's all good.
There you go.
What would you tell veterans who are considering enrolling at CT State-Norwalk or any other institution?
This is a great school. It has the counselors are amazing. The programs are amazing. My best advice would be to first start off with a general education, see what you want to do,
of course,
and see what you naturally gravitate towards and what your talents are. I know there's the expression, do what you love and you never work a day in your life, but that phrase is only half true. If you say you live in Florida and you want to make igloos, chances are you will never work a day in your life. What's next?
What are your goals for the future?
Well, my goals are next year I'm transferring to WestCon for their writing program and still keep involved in theater. And then after that, I'm going to apply for the master's program for a playwright over at Yale.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Sam, thank you so much for joining us today on the sofa, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.